The mahogany table in my father-in-law's study gleamed under the banker's lamp, its surface covered with IOU slips, casino markers, and collection notices. The number at the bottom of his amateur spreadsheet made my coffee turn bitter. $237,842. So you see, Marcus, Frank Hayworth said, lighting his third cigarette despite his wife's disapproving glare. We're in a bit of a situation. A bit of a situation? I set down my mug carefully. Frank, you owe almost $250,000 to people who break kneecaps for late payments. Don't be dramatic, my mother-in-law Diane interjected. They're legitimate businesses. The Riverside Casino is run by the Torino family, I said flatly. They're about as legitimate as a $3 bill. Which is why we need your help. Frank leaned forward, his bloodshot eyes desperate. Your family. And family helps family. I looked at my wife, Emma, who sat curled in the leather armchair, studying her manicure with suspicious intensity. We'd been married 4 years, together for 6. In all that time, she'd never mentioned her father's gambling problem. How long has this been going on? I asked. Does it matter? Diane snapped. The point is, we need $200,000 by Friday, or those people are going to do something drastic. What happened to the other $37,000? We can manage that, Frank said quickly. Borrowed from Emma's uncle. But the rest? You want me to write a check for $200,000? I said slowly, making sure I understood. To pay off gambling debts. By Friday. 3 days from now. You have it, Diane's voice turned sharp. Don't pretend you don't. We know what you software people make. I did have it. My cybersecurity firm had taken off in the past 2 years, and the acquisition offer from Microsoft had set me up nicely. But that wasn't the point. Emma, I turned to my wife. You've been very quiet. She finally looked up, and I saw guilt written across her face. They're my parents, Marcus. We have to help them. We. When did this become a we problem? When you married into this family, Diane stood, her voice rising. When you took those vows. For better or worse, remember? This is the worse. No, I said calmly. This is gambling addiction and criminal debt. There's a difference. Frank stubbed out his cigarette aggressively. So that's it? You're going to let them come after us? After your wife's family? I'm happy to pay for rehab. I'll cover therapy. I'll even help you negotiate a payment plan. But I'm not handing over $200,000 to enable more gambling. Enable? Diane shrieked. How dare you? We're not addicts, we just had some bad luck. Bad luck doesn't put you $250,000 in the hole, I countered. How many times has this happened before? How many times has someone bailed you out? The silence was answer enough. Emma finally spoke, her voice small. Marcus, please. Just this once. It's never just once with addiction, Em. You know that. So what? Frank slammed his hand on the table. You'll just let them hurt us? Hurt your wife's parents. I'll let you face the consequences of your choices, I said, standing. And I'll support whatever legitimate help you need to get clean. Diane's face went purple. Get out of their daughter's life, she screamed. You hear me? If you won't help family, you don't deserve to be family. Get out. Divorce her and go. I looked at Emma, waiting for her to defend me, to stand up to her parents. Instead, she bit her lip and looked away. Is that what you want, Emma? I asked quietly. Maybe, she whispered. Maybe we need some space to think. The words hit like a physical blow. 6 years together, and she was choosing her parents' addiction over our marriage. Fine, I said, pulling out my phone. Let's divorce. What? Emma's head snapped up. Marcus, I didn't mean. No, your mother's right. If I'm not family enough to enable their destruction, then I should go. I opened my contacts. I'll call my lawyer tonight. Wait. Frank stood, suddenly panicked. Let's not be hasty. We can work something out. The only thing to work out is asset division, I said, heading for the door. Emma, I'll pack some things and stay at a hotel. We can start proceedings tomorrow. My wife's family demanded I pay their $200,000 gambling debt or get out of their daughter's life. I said, fine, let's divorce. When the asset division began, my wife discovered the prenup clause that stated, the meeting with our lawyers was scheduled for the following week. Emma had hired Reginald Blackmore, known for aggressive tactics and high-asset divorces. I sat across from them with my lawyer, Janet Chun, a soft-spoken woman who specialized in contract law. Let's start with the basics, Blackmore said, his voice oozing confidence. The marital home, valued at $1.2 million. My client should retain. Actually, Janet interrupted, sliding a document across the table. Let's start with the prenuptial agreement. Emma's face went white. What prenup? I kept my expression neutral as Janet continued. The agreement signed by both parties on June 15, 2019. 2 weeks before the wedding. That's impossible, Emma said. I never signed a prenup. Janet produced a video tablet. This is security footage from my office, showing you and Mr. Thorne reviewing and signing the agreement. Would you like me to play it? Blackmore snatched the document, scanning rapidly. His confident expression melted like ice in summer. Emma, he said slowly, did you sign this? I don't remember. Marcus said it was wedding insurance stuff. I signed a bunch of papers that day. You told me it was wedding insurance, I said calmly. I told you it was a prenuptial agreement. You said, and I quote, whatever, I trust you. Just tell me where to sign. Janet pulled up another document. I also have the email exchange where Mr. Thorne urged Ms. Hayworth 3 times to have independent counsel review the agreement. She declined each time. Blackmore was now sweating. What exactly does this prenup say? Janet smiled. Several things. But the most relevant clause is Section 7, Paragraph 3. In the event of divorce proceedings initiated by either party due to financial conflicts involving extended family members, all marital assets revert to the original owner, and each party retains only what they brought into the marriage. That's oddly specific, Blackmore muttered. My client insisted on it, Janet said. He'd seen friends' marriages destroyed by in-law financial demands. Quite prescient, actually. What else? Emma asked, her voice shaking. Section 9. Any attempt by either spouse to coerce the other into providing financial support for gambling debts, criminal activities, or other illegal enterprises will result in immediate forfeiture of all marital asset claims. Criminal activities? Blackmore perked up. Gambling isn't. Borrowing from the Torino family is, I interrupted. They're under federal investigation for racketeering. Your in-laws took money from known criminals. Emma stared at me. You knew. When we got married, you already knew about Dad's problem? I suspected. Your cousin Tony warned me at our engagement party. Said your dad had been in and out of GA for years. So you tricked me into signing away my rights? I protected myself, I corrected. And I tried to protect you too. That prenup has addiction intervention clauses. If you'd ever asked for help getting your father treatment, I'd have paid for everything. But you never asked. You just enabled. Janet pulled out more papers. Now, regarding asset division. The marital home was purchased entirely with Mr. Thorne's funds, deed in his name only. The investment accounts are all premarital assets. The cars were bought with Mr. Thorne's income. What about Emma's contributions? Blackmore asked desperately. According to tax returns, Ms. Hayworth's income over 4 years of marriage totaled $67,000. She worked part-time at her mother's boutique, which, Janet checked her notes, closed for non-payment of rent 18 months ago. That's not fair. Emma burst out. I supported him. I was there for him. Where were you 3 nights ago? I asked quietly. When your parents demanded I pay their gambling debts or get out of your life. Where was your support then? She had no answer. Janet continued ruthlessly. There's also the matter of the credit cards Ms. Hayworth opened in Mr. Thorne's name without his knowledge. What? I sat forward. What credit cards? Emma went from pale to green. It was just 1 or 2. 4, Janet corrected. Total debt, $73,000. Used primarily at casinos, according to statements. Identity fraud is a felony, Ms. Hayworth. The room went silent except for the hum of fluorescent lights. However, Janet added, Mr. Thorne is willing to not press charges if the divorce proceeds smoothly. Blackmore looked sick. What is Ms. Hayworth entitled to? Her personal belongings, her jewelry, the pieces she bought herself, not gifts, and her 2015 Honda Civic. That's it. Emma's voice broke. 4 years of marriage and I get a used car? You get your freedom, I said. And you don't get prosecuted for identity theft. That's generous, considering. Marcus, please, she leaned forward. I made a mistake. I was scared. My parents said if I didn't get the money, they'd hurt themselves. They said it was life or death. It always is with addicts, I replied. Every crisis is life or death. Every demand is urgent. Every boundary you set makes you the villain. I'll get help. We'll get counseling. I'll cut them off. You've had 4 years to cut them off. You chose them 3 nights ago. That was your decision, Emma. This is mine. Blackmore whispered urgently with Emma, then straightened his tie. We'll agree to the terms of the prenup. Excellent. Janet began packing up. We'll file the... Wait, Emma interrupted. What about the Microsoft money? I raised an eyebrow. What about it? The acquisition. You sold your company to Microsoft for millions. That happened during our marriage. That's marital property. Janet actually laughed. Ms. Hayworth, did you read Section 12 of the prenup? Any business ventures, investments, or corporate entities owned by either party before marriage remain separate property, including any profits, sales, or acquisitions thereof. But, furthermore, Janet continued, the acquisition is structured as a 5-year earn-out. Mr. Thorne won't see most of that money until 2028, by which time you'll have been divorced for years. Emma turned to me, tears streaming. You planned all this. From the beginning. You never trusted me. I trusted you, I said quietly. But I didn't trust your family. Turns out I was right. 2 months later, the divorce was final. Emma got her car and personal belongings. I kept everything else. The credit card fraud charges were dropped in exchange for her cooperation. The Hayworths' gambling debts? They tried to run, packed up in the middle of the night, and headed for Florida. The Torinos found them in Jacksonville. Frank ended up in the hospital with 2 broken arms. Diane had a nervous breakdown. They're in witness protection now, testifying against their creditors in exchange for new identities. Emma moved in with her aunt in Portland. Last I heard, she was working at a coffee shop and attending gamblers' anonymous meetings for family members. Maybe she'll break the cycle. Maybe not. I sold the house, too many memories. The Microsoft earn-out is on track. I'm dating a federal prosecutor now, someone who understands the value of both trust and verification. She read the prenup on our 3rd date, had her lawyer review it by the 5th, said it was the most comprehensive protection she'd ever seen, especially the family addiction clauses. Bad experience? She asked. Educational experience, I corrected. Because here's what Emma never understood. I'd have happily paid $200,000 to save her parents' lives if they'd been sick. I'd have mortgaged everything for cancer treatment or emergency surgery. Real family helps family in genuine crises. But enabling addiction isn't help. It's harm wrapped in good intentions. And protecting yourself from that harm isn't selfish. It's survival. The prenup Emma signed without reading? It saved more than my assets. It saved me from a lifetime of being an ATM for addicts who'd never hit bottom because someone always cushioned the fall. She thought she was signing wedding insurance. Turns out she was right. It just wasn't the kind of insurance she expected. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video. Stay stunned.